Hello, beautiful people. I am so sorry this all this light coming in. I love light, but okay, it looks like it's kind of working itself out. So I just wanted to hop on and share with you an update for the video that I just posted yesterday, which has gotten a big response. I just think that it resonates with a lot of people because of just, all the different things that we hear about raw foods diet, alkaline diet, all the things like what should we be eating to heal? What is the best thing to eat? And so we're all seeking to be at our best. And so, of course, that's what I was doing too, seeking to be at my best. And so I feel like that's why that video resonated. So the thing you need to know about the video I just posted yesterday about why I stopped eating the raw foods diet is that I filmed that video over a year ago. So I filmed it and then I didn't feel led to put it out. I was just waiting until I felt like God was saying it's the right time to put it out. And now I do believe that that was the right time to put it out. And so now I just want to share with you an update of, I talked about in that video the way that I was planning to start eating, what had been helping me. I also shared in the video what were the things that were going on with me that caused me to stop eating raw food. So if you haven't seen that, I will link to it. I think it's in I'm putting it here in the chat. And then also it's in the description box. I'll put it in the pinned comment for the replay. But the video is why I stopped the raw foods diet. And like I said, that video that I just posted yesterday, it shares my whole testimony of why I stopped, the symptoms I was having, and what I started to do to try to help. And I said that I would give a 30-day update and a 60-day update, a 90-day update. And so this is the update over a year later because I have all the data. Okay, so I'm going to share that with you guys. So what was happening when I was eating raw, some of you all might remember that I shared about doing hypernourishment. So I went on like this hypernourishment diet where I was doing these big 64 green ounce smoothies with half a cup of chia seeds. And I talk about this in my other video, but some of the things that I started feeling and symptoms I had that I didn't even share in that video, I forgot to share some of them. I'd said that I was, severely underweight. I went from, being a healthy weight of like 120 pounds for being 5'6" to literally being 94 pounds. I couldn't gain weight no matter what I did. I could not gain weight. And then also, something I didn't mention is I started having peripheral neuropathy. So like in my fingertips, tingling, in my toes, in my feet. When I would walk, I had to literally adjust the way I walked. So I would walk a certain way so that I wouldn't feel the sharp shooting pain that would happen, especially on my left side, but I had it on both sides. So all these different things I was having to do because of issues I was starting to have, and I didn't understand because I was eating so healthy. Everything, all the raw foods I was eating, green smoothies, and then when I went from just doing raw, I went into just doing all plant-based, but it was like all homemade plant-based. So if I had beans, I was soaking them and cooking them in the slow cooker and sprouting things and all this different stuff. So it didn't make any sense why I was still sick. It didn't make any sense. But I'm going to share the symptoms I had and what I started to do, the diet that I went on, and if I stuck with it and what happened, because I shared some of that in the other video yesterday. If you haven't seen that, like I said, it's linked here. If you want to go watch that, come back and watch this replay later for the updates. But I just share all what happened, what led me to decide that, I need to stop this diet. But some of the other things I was having, I'm just going to read this list. It's so much stuff. So I had peripheral neuropathy in my fingers and my toes. I had to adjust the way I was walking because I felt so much pain when I would walk in my feet. So I was having issues in my feet. I was having a lot of bladder irritation. I was having frequent urination. I had insomnia. I had anxiety. So with my insomnia, it was like I would fall asleep. Well, at the beginning, when I had like severe anxiety, it was hard to even fall asleep. But then once I could kind of calm myself, fall asleep, I had some stretches I was doing that would help me fall asleep. But then I would wake up like every 2 hours. Like I was just waking up every 2 hours, having to use the restroom because I had the bladder irritation. And all of this I'll explain what that was from. I found that out, and that's why I stopped the raw foods diet. But I also had like mild depression, ruminating thoughts. I couldn't focus. I just wrote a book. I just wrote this book, 40 Days of Prayer and Transformation, that we're going to be going through as a community here online, whoever wants to join. So go to my website for that. But I wrote that book. I'll go ahead and I'll put my website in the chat if you want to check it out. I wrote that book, and but I could have never done that before when all this was going on, when it first started. There's no way I could have done that because I could not focus. Okay. So I had lack of focus. A lot of like constipation, gas, bloating, food sensitivities, unexplained weight loss, couldn't gain weight no matter how much I ate. My husband's like, why can't you gain weight? You're eating so much food. I would be gaining weight, you know? He's like, but you're not gaining weight. It was like my metabolism was just all over the place. I went to the doctor. I had increased cortisol, all these things. So it was just crazy, poor circulation, just so many different issues. I'll probably do a separate video that just goes through everything. But in my list right now that I'm looking, that I typed up, it's 45 different symptoms that I had. And I feel like there's actually more, but that was what I at least documented. So if you all are on, make sure you say hello in the chat and let me know if you have any questions or anything like that, if you've experienced these things. So what I did briefly mention in my video from yesterday about why I stopped the raw foods diet, I did mention that I realized through seeking the Lord, one day I got still and quiet and just was seeking him, like, what's wrong? Because no doctor could tell me. I did all the tests. I did the CAT scans. Nobody could tell me. And it's like an impression came in my mind on that day of stillness and seeking him. Just while I was just eating quietly, I wasn't on my phone. I wasn't any of that. I was just quiet and just eating. And at this time I was eating lunch, and an impression came that said, look up oxalates. And I'm like, oxalates? I had heard of that word, but I never paid any attention to it. And I'm like a researcher when it comes to health and wellness. I had never looked into that word. So I know it was the Holy Spirit. I know it was God giving me what I needed to do. So I was like, oxalates. I looked it up. All the symptoms I had been experiencing that didn't make any sense. Like I would get like little stones in my eye, like eye styes and stuff like that, tenderness, the bladder irritation, the shakiness that I felt on my spine, all of those things. Come to find out, oxalate, it was all oxalate toxicity, oxalate overload. So I go more into that in the video that I posted yesterday, why I stopped the raw foods diet. But I just wanted to give a little brief overview. So now I can give you the update. Okay. So in that video from yesterday, I mentioned that I had been struggling since I was so underweight. I was 94 pounds, which was like 30 pounds under my normal weight. So I was like a skeleton. I looked sick. If you look at the thumbnail for that video, that's a video of me. That's a picture of me that I took from a screenshot of a video I was doing with me and my family just at home. And it was like, I look like a skeleton, like it's crazy. So if you see that, that was me at about 94 pounds. And it's like, you could just see like I'm smiling, and it's like everything just, it was crazy. So I was severely underweight. So what was happening is, as I started to try to shift my diet and figure out what can I eat, because I had so many food sensitivities, I didn't know what I could eat. I started realizing through process of elimination, just through keeping a food journal. If you haven't got my food journal, this is on Amazon, Body Mike. It's just like a prompted food journal where you go through, what did I eat? How do I feel? How are my bowels? How is my sleep? What is my self-care? You know, you're just keeping track of that. That's what really helped me. God used the body and the symptoms that our body and the clues and signals our body gives us. He used that to help me discover what I should eat, because I had no clue. So I was praying and seeking him. And first of all, he showed me oxalates, stop all the green foods you're eating. I was overeating green foods. He showed me that. And when he gave me that impression, I was literally eating a full, huge plate of like broccoli and all this, everything, oxalates, all oxalates, wild rice, broccoli, everything, just super high in oxalates. But anyway, so when I stopped that, I'm like, well, what can I eat? And so I started to keep a food journal to see, okay, how do I respond to this? How do I respond to that? How do I respond to this? And I started to notice that I couldn't hardly eat much. So in the last video, like I said, my video that I posted yesterday, why I stopped the raw foods diet, I shared with you that I have been struggling what I stumbled upon was that eating a diet of meat actually was what was helping me. And I didn't know anything about the carnivore diet, but when I realized it, as I did more research, I'm like, all the foods that don't irritate me are actually, this is like the carnivore diet, which is basically just, you're really just eating all animal-based foods, which is opposite of what I was doing for years, which was all plant-based foods. But the plant-based foods, little did I know, the oxalates were just too much for me that were in the plants. So I realized that, oh, okay, I couldn't do chicken, I couldn't do fish. I mean, the oxalates, they're like little crystals, so they were tearing up my gut lining. So I was super sensitive. I had histamine reactions, all of that. So I started just focusing on eating the one meat that I thought I never would eat, because I didn't like meat much then. Even as a child, I didn't care about meat really, but it was red meat. It was ground beef, stuff that I hated because I hated gristle, I hated fat, I hated all that. So it was like, but that was the only thing I could eat and not start to have palpitations and not start to have the veiny arms that I talked about in the other video that I was getting whenever I would eat like salads. It's like it would feel hot in my veins, and the veins would in my arms, you see now they're just normal, but it would be popping out. I have a picture in that video. I took a picture of my arms because I was trying to figure out, what is this? But now I know that it's the oxalates being dumped into the blood, your body trying to process these little crystals, and you can feel it. So I want to share these things with you so that I know a lot of people are trying to be healthy and trying to heal, but maybe not understanding why, just like with me, the healthy things you're doing aren't working. And sometimes it's that your system isn't able to handle oxalates well. And if you have any gut issues, if you have like candida overgrowth, because that's another thing that I had, that can all contribute to your body not being able to process oxalates well, because one of the byproducts of candida albicans is oxalate. So they give off, like, I think, what is it called? It's oxalic acid. So that's one of the acids that the candida can give off. So that's also contributing to an oxalate problem in your body. So I didn't realize all this was going on. So when I would be binging on carbs, because I started to have a sweet tooth and binge on carbs, I didn't realize that's feeding the candida. The candida's waste and byproduct is giving me more oxalate issues. So it was just a cascade effect. And y'all, like I said, I had my husband take me to the urgent care. I thought I was having a heart attack. I had chest pressure. It was just so much going on. I had rapid heartbeat. They did an EKG. It's like, nothing's going on. Is it happening now? I'm like, yeah, it's happening now. Well, come to find out, all of that, the oxalates, they go in, they're on the nervous system. They make your nerves, like sometimes it would just feel like I would be sitting here straight like this, just talking to you, but it would feel on the inside like my nervous system on my spine was shaking. So it would feel like I'm doing this, but I would just be sitting here and it would feel like things are shaking. And I would get up and be like, sometimes our washing machine is real aggressive. So I'm like, is the washing machine be like moving? Like, is it moving the ground? Like I would literally get up to see, is something moving, because it felt like the ground was moving, but that was my body, and it was the oxalates on my nervous system, on my spine. So if any of these symptoms sound somewhat familiar to you, if you have eye issues, sandiness in the eyes and scrapey eyes, waking up with a lot of mucus in your eyes, eye twitching that kind of won't stop but reoccurs throughout the day, all this stuff could be oxalate toxicity in your body from eating a healthy diet, because all these plants are full of oxalate. And if your gut has been compromised, you may no longer have the bacteria, Oxalobacter formigenes, that actually helps with getting rid of oxalate, because we should be able to eat foods that have oxalate in them. But nobody needs to be eating a super high oxalate diet like I was eating, where everything was super high oxalate, because each plant has different levels of oxalates in them. So things like Tuscan dino kale is much lower in oxalate. And I talk about this in my food journal if you want to grab it on Amazon, but I talk about oxalates in the beginning of the food journal, so you can just know what things you can maybe add in if you want to still eat plants. What are plants you can eat that aren't super high in oxalates? Spinach, sky high. Regular curly kale, very high. Spinach is higher. Chia seed, flaxseed, sky high in oxalate. Sweet potatoes, lentils, black beans, sky high. So things like black eyed peas and like garbanzo beans are lower, moderate oxalate. So if you want to switch things out, because nobody should be eating an all high oxalate diet, but when you're doing plant based, that can easily happen because you're doing all the superfoods, quinoa, high in oxalate, wild rice, high in oxalate. You're doing all this stuff and you don't realize like you're just oxalates, 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 and they go in and they go and get stored in your tissues. They love the eyes, they love the bladder, they love the thyroid. So they'll go in and they'll be, oh, there is this, sorry, I just heard something coming off my roof, probably some ice or something, but they'll go in and they'll just kind of camp out in those areas. So that's what was happening to me. And I didn't realize that's what was causing nervous system issues, anxiety, insomnia, rapid weight loss, because it's messing with my endocrine system and my metabolism. So my metabolism was just, some people, it might do the opposite, but for me, my metabolism was so revved up, I couldn't gain weight no matter what I ate. And that's why I was all of a sudden down to 94 pounds, even though I was eating the same amount of calories I had been eating. I just started to drop when I started hypernourishing with those oxalate toxic smoothies, 64-ounce green smoothies, which I have pictures of in the video I posted yesterday. If you haven't watched that, go check that out. So now let's get into what I did and the diet that I went on. So I talked about how I realized through process of elimination and keeping a food journal that the diet that was working best for me was no vegetables, not even low oxalate vegetables that I was trying to do, like asparagus. I would boil the asparagus, get the oxalates in the water, dump the water out, eat the asparagus. Opposite to how I used to always eat everything al dente. It was like steamed asparagus to keep all the nutrients in. That's how I used to do. So I was doing everything opposite, romaine lettuce instead of Swiss chard or instead of arugula and the dark greens and spinach. I was doing romaine and butter lettuce, things like that. Iceberg, they're much lower in oxalate. I still was having issues. I still was running to the bathroom. I still was having the veininess. It was just like my body was like, it doesn't even matter, Timotha, that you are low oxalate. You've been high oxalate so long, we can't handle it anymore. So my body was like, stop. So process of elimination, food journaling, I realized, wow, I only do best on meat, and not just meat, ground beef, not steak, not beef, ground beef. Steak was an issue. I couldn't even digest that well, but ground beef was like this perfect nutrient for me. It was like the manna. I look at it like that, like I was like, man, this is my manna, what God has given for me to eat for a while. So what I ended up doing, I talked to you all in that other video, which I said I just posted it yesterday, but I had pre-recorded that a year ago. So this is a year update of what I did. Because at that point, I had told you I had only been able to I had been back and forth, yo-yoing back and forth, trying to stay on this diet, which I realized was a carnivore diet that I had fallen into through prayer and through seeking the Lord for what I should be eating. And let me just say, I'm not telling any of y'all to do the diet I did. What I'm telling y'all to do is to seek the Lord for what you should be eating, knowing that healing is not one size fits all, and listen to your body to see what is best for you. Even though a food is healthy, it may not be healthy for you based on where your body is at. So as you heal, you can start to add things back in, listening to your body and how it's doing. That's a whole nother video, because as I eliminated, then as I started adding back in, I had to really listen to see how's my body handling what I'm adding back in. But anyway, so I went on, like I said, I was trying to do this carnivore diet. Once I realized that's what it was, it's really just an all meat, all ground beef, what they were calling a lion diet. I didn't even realize that. I was just stumbled into that through what God had showed me is the best way for me to be eating. So I did that for 19 days. And I could tell I really feel better, but I was having cravings because I was so underweight. I was craving and wanting like comfort through, all the foods, the breads and the sweets and things like that. So I was struggling with going from carnivore to carbs and eating carbs, and then going back to eating just the food that God had showed me is what I need to be eating at that time, which was just the little ground beef patties that I would grill out on my grill, grass-fed organic, with ghee, not butter, because I can do lactose. And I would do like lemon juice and stuff that helps with the lemon and lime juice, helps with the oxalates, which kind of go into the kidneys and can cause irritation, that lemon and lime juice would help break up the different oxalates, helping prevent kidney stones and things like that. So I was able to stay on for the longest when I posted that video from yesterday, which was filmed a year ago, for just 19 days. And my goal was like, I got to get to 30 days and see what happens. So what God showed me, and I still, even after I posted that, even after I filmed that video, because I filmed that in October, it wasn't until a month later that I was able to finally get on track. And what God showed me is, you're trying to switch your diet for your physical health. You're still obsessed with your physical health. So he started showing me, don't worry about trying to do this 30 days of only eating, the ground beef, and would be like a carnivore diet, low oxalate, no oxalate diet. Don't worry about that for your physical. Just get quiet and go on a stillness 40-day fast with me. So this is good. This is what I felt God was telling me. Don't worry about the food. Everything's been for healing, physical healing. You need mental and emotional and spiritual healing, Timotha. That's what I felt God was telling me. So he had me I feel he instructed me to get quiet for 40 days and eat the foods that he had showed me work for my body through journaling and through prayer. Eat those foods, but don't focus on your body and your symptoms. Focus on me. That's what I feel like he was saying. Focus on me. Read my word. Get quiet with me. Stop watching any videos on health. Stop watching sermons and podcasts that are even Christian based. All that. I don't want any outside influence. I want to speak to you directly. I want to speak to you through my word. I want you to be in my word daily. I want you to be in prayer daily. I want you to be journaling daily. I want you to download from me daily. And I want you to eat what I told you to eat, which for me, what he had showed me through journaling and just process of elimination through my body's symptoms was what I realize now was a carnivore diet. But it wasn't because I had Googled carnivore and said, oh, let me try this. It was what my body had shown me. Okay. And that's what I recommend for you all to do. Listen to your body, pray, seek the Lord for what is the best diet for you, because raw foods might be what's working for you for this season. But if you are going to do raw foods, make sure they're low oxalate raw foods. So just listen to your body, and don't let any dogma from any camp, alkaline, raw, fruitarian, carnivore, keto, paleo, all these camps that are around. What we know from the Bible is that God, and it started out with plant-based, right? Garden of Eden, before sin, before the fall, God had given us plants, herbs, fruits, trees, all that to eat. After the fall, the first sacrifice was made by God for Adam and Eve and their sins, gave them clothes of skin. That was the first sacrifice. So we know before that, everything was living in unity. After the fall, things went awry. The first sacrifice was made. And by the time of Noah, we know that God had instructed him clean and unclean animals to take into the ark, all that. So we know, and he also instructed what you can eat, what you can't, all that. So we know from Leviticus 11 what we're supposed to be eating. Deuteronomy, I believe is it 14 or 18, Deuteronomy, where he also gives again what you should eat, clean flesh to eat and not to eat. So to me, based on the Bible, because that's how I live my life, based on the Bible, the proper human diet, some carnivores say the proper human diet is a carnivore diet. No, the proper human diet is an omnivore diet. It's a diet that's in the Bible, where God was instructing people. They were eating fruit. What was Jesus eating? Fish, barley loaves, figs. He was eating all plants and all clean meats, right? So that's what I feel the proper diet is. Now, it doesn't mean that that's what you can handle. It doesn't mean that that's what I can handle. So I feel like if you're in optimal health, you're eating a diet of clean foods, non-synthetics, non-processed foods that are Bible-based foods that King Solomon, the wisest man alive, was eating. If you look at what he was eating, they talk about what was at the king's table. It was omnivore diet of clean meats and also plants and good grains, not all this genetically modified stuff. That's what I feel we should be eating. So I don't really feel that, I don't believe in vegan. I don't believe in only, carnivore as being the proper diet. I believe the proper diet is an omnivore diet. But our bodies sometimes aren't able to handle that. And you have to be realistic and listen to your body. So if your body is at a point where it's telling you, yes, this like for me, the romaine lettuce I was eating, I should I should be able to eat it. But when your gut is compromised and you have lost the bacteria that naturally eats that, the oxalates in plants, Oxalobacter formigenes, which is that bacteria, when you've lost that due to an antibiotic, due to being in the fallen world where we need these antibiotics and stuff like that, you might not be able to handle the romaine that you should be able to handle. So, but God is good. And so there's things like a carnivore diet, or for some people who can't process fat and they can't process those proteins that are in meat, then there's things like juicing and a raw foods diet or whatever. If that's what thrives with your body, listen to your body, pray and ask God to show you. So I in this book that I've written, these are things that God showed me during my 40-day fast with him, not about my health, but a fast for him. So when I went on that fast for him, this download of this book came to me. It was a 40 days of prayer and transformation. I didn't know it was going to be a book later, but after I finished my 40 days, he started to show me all these things I've been downloading to you. I want you to write them down, because I was already writing. I mean, I got notebooks full of journals. I was already writing everything down. I was learning just for myself. And then he started to show me, I want you to share this. And he started showing me, I want this to be a book. And I'm thinking, what? Because like I said, one of my symptoms from all the chronic illness that was going on is I couldn't focus enough to write an actual book and put it into something that would make sense before. But after this, as I started to transform, as he started to heal me through the way I was seeking him, and my mind was being renewed. And because my mind was renewed, my addiction to the carbs and binging on the sweets and stuff like that, from the stress of all the chronic illness, I was leading me to that. After I was being renewed, I could focus. I could do these things. So when I did this 40-day fast, focus not on my healing, but focusing on God and what he could do, how I wanted to have a closer relationship with him. And the byproduct was, because I was trying to crucify my flesh so I could be closer to him spiritually, I was eating the way he had shown me I needed to eat to heal. But I was eating that way without focusing on what's my healing, what's going on, scanning my body every second. It was like, hey, Timotha, I was so messed up at that point. It's like, you just don't feel good. That's where it is. Romans 12:12, be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Leave that stuff alone. Stop focusing on how you feel. That's where I was at. So every morning, truly, my meat was like what Jesus says. He says this to his disciples in John 4, I believe it's John 4:31. He says, I have meat that you know nothing about. My meat is to do the will of my Father that sent me and to finish his work. And so that's what started to happen with me. It was like the meat that I was seeking and really focused on was him, his word, quiet time. I was in my prayer closet, any spare moment I had, anytime I could get in there, that's where I was in the morning. And if I had time in the afternoon, if I had time later on in the afternoon, after the afternoon, and then also before bed, always in the prayer closet. That's where I was at, right? That's when the healing started. And so because of that, I was able to stay on the healing diet he had showed me to be on. I went from raw to all ground beef and ghee and lemon juice. And I wasn't even doing sea moss at that time. I now do sea moss and stuff like that. But it was just literally lemon juice, ghee, and because I don't do lactose, so ghee is clarified butter that has the lactose removed. And I was doing grass-fed, organic, raw, not raw, grass-fed, organic beef patties that I would grill. I would grill them on the actual grill over the open flame. And so I was doing that and just listening to him literally for everything when it came to that. How much should I eat? Because I was trying to find, what is the right amount of patties, and listening to my body and how I was responding, how often I should eat, when I should eat, all those things. I was seeking him for that. So I was able to make it through the 40 days, where before, for 10 months, I had yo-yoed between 5 days on this diet of the carnivore diet, then like 10 days off, and trying to get back on, but binging on carbs, binging on sweets, binging on bread and stuff like that, and then going back on. I did that for 10 months. The longest I had made in that 10-month period on the carnivore diet was 18 or 19 days. But finally, after that video that I posted yesterday, I filmed that, like I said, last October. So not October 2025, but October 2024. And then a month later, I was finally able to get focused. And I started that 40-day days of prayer and transformation that eventually turned into this book that we'll be going through together. Those that want to go through it, you can register on my website. But finally turned it into that. After the 40 days, but I did the 40 days. And after I finished that 40 days, then I realized I'm good. Like, I want to stay on this. Like, I feel good because I felt so focused and peaceful, and food wasn't my God anymore. Food wasn't my idol. I wasn't using food for comfort. I was using God for comfort. So I stayed on for another 30 days. Like, I feel good. I stayed on for another 30 days. So ultimately, I ended up staying on the carnivore diet, which was basically, I was doing it where it was all beef, and it was ground beef, grass-fed organic ground beef, grilled burger patties that I would grill in bulk and then freeze them and just take them out as I need them, heat them in the oven. I don't use a microwave. I ended up doing that for 180 days, so 6 months. Maybe a little more than 6 months. So I did that, and then I started to try to see what can I reincorporate. And I realized that I felt like I still needed to go back on that. For some of it was spiritual reasons, some of it was like I was fasting for a family member, things like that. So I ended up doing another 90 days. So I just finished, like last week, a second round of 90 days. I did 90 days. So the first time I did 180 days, then I did 90 days. And in between that, I've done 7 days. And always when I go off, I'm trying to figure out what can I add in that my body can handle? What can I add in? But what I've noticed from doing all carnivore, especially more like a lion diet with ground beef, is that the peripheral neuropathy. So remember, when I used to walk, my feet, it would be like a sharp pain in my foot. I would have tingling, like right now while I'm talking to you, it would have been tingling in my fingers, like especially this right hand and this fingertip, it would just be tingling, peripheral neuropathy. Because one thing that oxalates do and candida do, they mess up your blood sugar, and then the candida does, and then the oxalates go into your bloodstream and they mess with your circulation, they mess with your arteries and your veins, they cause a lot of damage to your body and your tissues. So you don't want oxalates just all, floating throughout your body. So I was having a lot of those type of issues. So that peripheral neuropathy, when I stopped overloading on oxalates, and my blood sugar was able to get even because I stopped eating and going back and forth on all these carbs and stuff like that, and just was eating the diet God had shown me and my body had shown me I needed to eat, which was just that all beef, the ghee, the lemon juice diet. Then how many months did it take for that neuropathy to go away? Because it was really bad. Like I said, I had to walk different. I had to adjust my walking, turn my foot out a little so that my foot wouldn't go up like that when I walked, because that hurt. It would be a sharp pain. So I feel like it was probably I started to have relief probably about 2 to 3 months in from the neuropathy in my foot. The finger neuropathy with the tingling in my fingers, that went away quicker. But that nerve damage that was in my toe and my foot, especially my left foot, that took longer. So that took probably about 2 to 3 months. And so now, over a year later, it's like that's like 90%. Like, I really can't feel it at all, except for if I go way, 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 way up on my toes. It's not even the sharp pain. It's more like there's something there. Like I'll kind of feel like, oh, there's kind of something there, like a pulled something, but it doesn't feel like that sharp pain where you like can't really walk on your foot like that. So that was the thing I was really trying to heal, because I was like, I'm a dancer. I do, performer, would do theater and dance and tour, would do all that stuff. I'm like, I can't even go on releve. Any of my dancers out there know you couldn't even go up on my tiptoes. Like, what's going on? So it's like, oh, I can go on releve now. I can do all these different things. I couldn't even, like, running and stuff. I had to adjust that. I couldn't even do that. It was just, all of it hurt. So that's the thing I was most excited about. Of course, the mental clarity I was excited about, the brain fog that left, the insomnia, like being able to sleep deeply and peacefully through the night. That helped. That helped so much just with healing, because your body heals so much overnight when you sleep. So you need that sleep. And so what else? What other things there were so many different things that I was able to. I was able to gain weight back. That, praise God, like not look like a skeleton, like I was going to die. Like if you didn't see the video that I posted yesterday, which is my original testimony of my health crisis. It says, why I stopped the raw foods diet. It has a picture of like me now, and then a picture of me back then, that I had to take from a screenshot, because I was not taking photos back then. So I was just doing a filming me and my family. We were kind of dancing, and I had a little selfie thing. So I had to go in and just find a screenshot to show even halfway what I looked like, because I was not trying to take pictures of myself. I had literally, I had over my mirror in the bathroom, just scriptures posted on my mirror, because it was basically like when I would look at myself in the mirror, it would upset me so much and make me worry. And what does the Bible say about if you're worried? If your eye causes you to sin, worry, we know we shouldn't be worrying. If it causes you to sin, pluck it out. So instead of plucking out my eyes, I just covered up the mirror with scripture and encouraging things. So I didn't have to look at how sickly I looked, because I literally was 30 pounds underweight, and I'm already a thin person. So you can kind of see it in that picture, but like I said, I didn't capture any like body shots of how sickly I was, how underweight. So being able to gain weight back was just, it's like, that was beautiful, because it's not like I wasn't eating. My metabolism was so ruined from the oxalates in the plants. It was just overstimulated. I couldn't gain weight. So that's another amazing thing, that I was just so thankful to be able to gain that weight back. And then also I was having, my gut got way better. Crazy enough, on carnivore, I would have thought that, you would be constipated, but no, my gut got better. My bowels started moving better, and just it's like like I said, mental clarity, bowels, bloating completely gone, stomach completely flat. I'd never been bloated before in my life until all this stuff happened with that antibiotic, and my gut got really out of balance. And that's what started the whole cascade effect, where I couldn't handle oxalates and plants and all of that. So I was bloated all the time. So now that's gone. I was, burping and gassy all the time. That's gone. So the flank pain that I was having, that right flank, kind of in the abdomen and the back, that's kidney pain. That's gone. The veininess in my arms, that's gone. That'll sometimes come back, like if I'm dumping oxalates, or, if I have something. So as I tried to add back in sometimes plants and stuff like that, like, okay, now maybe I'll try, some asparagus again. So there's a time where I was having asparagus a lot again after the 6 months of eating all carnivore. And after a while of that, plus romaine lettuce salads and stuff like that, I eventually got eye sty again and started having the veiny arms again. So I know, I can't do like vegetables like that every day yet. It's like more like, every once in a while you can add that in. And then it's like my gut is still trying to heal. I'm still recovering. I mean, it's like I overdid the oxalates. Those green smoothies sent me over the edge, but I'm glad to know about it and thankful. And the healing that has happened from just getting still, getting in God's presence, seeking Him for what to do, has been just monumentally transformative for me. It has just completely transformed my life. My hope is in Him. My hope isn't in my physical health. Of course, I want to feel good. And I want you all to feel good, which is why I'm sharing these things with you, so that you don't have to go through some of the things I went through. Maybe you can stop before, or just pay attention to not overeating high oxalate foods, but switching out some of the lower oxalate foods, like what I talk about in here. So instead of curly kale, you do Tuscan kale. Instead of black beans, you do black eyed peas, things like that are lower oxalate foods. So I just want to share so people don't got to trade places with what I've been through, So I want to invite you all, and I'll go more in detail on this. I'll probably be going live a lot this week as I ramp up for the 40 Days of Prayer and Transformation. My book is out. This book is out. You can get it on my website. There's a link to it. It's on Amazon if you want to get it. But we'll be doing this live together. It kicks off. It'll be 47 days. It's free. Whoever wants to join, just going through this transformation journey together. This is like all the download that God downloaded to me when I was going through my hard time with my when I was going through my transformation journey in my prayer closet for 40 days and really, praying, fasting, and listening to instruction from God. After that, all of this is what he downloaded to me. He instructed me to write in a book, and that's what I did. And so I'm sharing it with you all, and I'd love to go through that with you. So if you want to do that, I'll link to, it'll be in the pinned comment, and then also it'll be in the description box if you want to find out more about the 40 Days of Prayer and Transformation virtual retreat and masterclass that you can do together with me as a group community. There'll be a private community on Facebook where we can, just chat back and forth. And then also we'll be doing, I'll be doing live streams. And also there's a private kickoff event masterclass on Sunday, February 15th at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you want to register for that and get that private Zoom link, I'd love to meet you and see you face to face. I know you all see me, but I never see y'all. So if you wanted to be a part of that Zoom class, you can sign up on my website, timothalanae.com. And so that link is there in the description box and pinned comment. So just wanted to share with you my update. I did the carnivore diet. I didn't do it because I had searched carnivore. It's because God had showed me this is what was going to work for you through process of elimination and through food journaling. My food journal is also in the description box and in the pinned comment of the replay. But I started food journaling. I listened to God, and what he was sharing with me is the things that I needed to do and what I needed to eat. And through process of elimination, I realized, got to take this out, got to take that out, got to take this out. And it ended up with all I was eating, my manna at that time, what God gave me to eat for healing was just grass-fed organic ground beef patties. And I was grilling them and eating them every day with ghee and lemon juice. And that's what helped me to heal. And I was able to do that for, like I said, first stretch was 6 months. I only wanted to do 30 days and I was going to do 40 days. I did 90 days, ultimately went up to 6 months. And I did it again for another 90 days. And now I'm still eating similarly to that with adding in some other things that God has shown me. And we'll talk more about just discovering the right diet for you, which I call spirit-led eating. I have an acronym that God led me to create, which I believe is really helpful, called MEALS, which is, MEALS. And so it's eating in moderation, eat clean, and then abstain from using food for comfort, and listen to your body and seek God for healing. So MEALS, MEALS. So I dig deeper into that and give more lessons within that. But that's the spirit-led eating plan that I use in order to continue to heal and seek the Lord for what is it that he would have me to do to eat and how to continue to heal and transform, because it's not like I've arrived. I'm just way further than I used to be. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. Stay tuned for more videos on just transformation, on faith-based healing, on, different healthy recipes and different remedies that I use that God has shown me that work for me, and pray about it. See, will this work for me? So I don't feel like everybody should just be doing everything that I do. It's just more, I like to share the things that have helped me, because a lot of times I find out about certain things through people who have come on and shared. But ultimately, our Creator will give you divine revelation if you seek him. So I pray that you will get in communication with God closely, be in his word in order to understand his character. And that is the that is the path to true transformation. So thank you all so much for watching. I'm Timotha Lanae. Take care. God bless. And make sure to go check out the original video if you haven't seen it on why I stopped eating the raw foods diet. That just posted yesterday. So go and check that out. The link will be in the pinned comment in the description box. And it's also in the chat here. So take care. God bless. I'll see you in the next video.